Hey guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you an exciting video. As we all know, 2020 is halfway over. Thank goodness. Can we all agree that we are just so glad that 2020 is half over? Whew, this has been a year. But since the year is a little more than halfway over, I have been reflecting on the books I've read so far and wanted to share with you guys some of my favorites from the first half of the year. So let's get into it. So as I talk about these, they're in no particular order. I didn't rank them or anything like that. At the end of the year, I always like to kind of do it by category, my favorites. So I always pick like my favorite nonfiction of the year, my favorite horror of the year, my favorite historical fiction, and that sort of thing. This video, it's just, I went through my Goodreads, my reading challenge, and there were 6 books that jumped out at me as favorites. So those are the ones I'm going to talk about. So the first one I want to mention is an amazing thriller slash mystery, suspenseful, crazy novel that I read called Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This was my first time reading Karen Slaughter, and it will not be the last. I absolutely loved this book. It just had so much like twists and turns. I felt like every time she would like hit me with something, like a plot twist or something like that, right when I was kind of coming down off of that, she would hit me with another one. The characters were great. They had a lot of depth. They were very flawed, but very interesting. It was very gritty. It was a crazy ride, and I just loved it. My next favorite is one that I mentioned in my mid-year freakout. That's Columbine by Dave Cullen. This is one of the best nonfiction books I've read all year. Obviously, that's why it's on this list. This one just, the reason it is jumping out as a favorite so far is because of the amount of research and time and care that was taken in writing this book. This book took 10 years to write, and Dave Cullen was very invested in this tragedy and trying to put together why it happened, how we're moving forward. And yeah, this book was so well done. Like I said, so well researched, an amazing piece of journalism in my opinion. And yeah, if you're at all interested in the Columbine tragedy, you should definitely be reading this book. My next favorite is from an author that I first read last year, and he has quickly become a favorite of mine and definitely an auto buy from now on. If he releases a book, I'm gonna read it. This one though is A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. Oh, this book was like one of those books that makes you really mad when you read it because the main character is just despicable. He is so bad. He is an aspiring writer, our main character, and basically he steals other people's ideas, and his whole success as a writer is because he has stolen from other people. So it's just like, you're just so mad reading this book, but he's also a character that you are drawn to because he is so despicable. So the writing was fantastic in this. Like I said, this main character, whew, he will make you mad, but this story was so good, and I really loved how everything wrapped up in the end. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is one that was definitely a surprise for me because, as you guys know, I'm a Stephen King fan, but it's been a while since I've read a Stephen King book that was a 5-star read. I don't know, just the last handful that I've read have come close, a couple, but none have been 5 stars. And this one, I wasn't expecting it to be a 5-star read, but it was. I loved this book, and that is The Dark Half. I think the reason I liked this one so much was because it was about the writing process. It was about writers, and I like when writers write about writers, kind of like A Ladder to the Sky, because they have, you know, they're writers themselves, so it's kind of meta. They know, you know, the ins and outs of what it is to be a writer, and so the characters in here are just so good. And it's basically about an author who has kind of like, how do I put this, an evil counterpart. We'll just say that. That's causing him some issues. There was some awesome, just like awesome imagery, some awesome horror elements as the book progressed, especially. It was great. I was like I said, I loved this, and I did not think I was going to love it as much as I did, but it was really good. So if you're a Stephen King fan and you haven't read The Dark Half yet, check it out because it is really, really good. Okay, another horror novel that got like 5 like ginormous, glowing, amazing, awesome stars for me was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I just loved this book because I love a good vampire story. It's been a while since I've had a good vampire story come in, and I just loved this one. I loved the setting, that it took place in the South, and I loved that the heroes of the story were women. This book, though it is a horror novel dealing with vampires and has some amazing horror elements in it, like definitely, like there were scenes in here that were super creepy, will give you like the heebie-jeebies. It also touches on some pretty important social topics like sexism and racism, and I thought that those both were also handled very well. So yeah, I loved this book. It was such a like great ride, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. And then the last book that I want to talk about that has been a favorite is actually one I just read in June, but that is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This is a memoir targeted towards young adults, but I feel like it is definitely one of those memoirs that everyone should read. It's just George's experiences, and he tells it through essays and letters, talking about his life growing up, from when he is a child up through his college years, and what it was like for him being gay and also being black, and kind of that intersectionality that he had to deal with growing up. And it was just so well written, so good. Some of the things he touches on in his memoir are things that I feel like need to be addressed and talked about more, and he did it with such candor, and he just like put himself out there and did it for the sake of his readers. It's kind of a way of saying like, this is something that I've been through, and I want you guys to learn from what I've been through. So that approach to the memoir I really loved as well. I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by George M. Johnson, and it was so good, so good. I definitely want to get a copy of this book to have on my shelves. I haven't had a chance to get one yet, but I am definitely going to because I loved this book, and yeah, you definitely need to read it. All right, guys, so those are 6, was it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. It's been a pretty good reading year so far. I've read some good stuff. Will they make it to the final at the end of the year? I don't know. Some of them I feel like will, but I don't know. We'll have to find out. So let me know down below what some of your favorite reads have been so far this year. I would love to hear what everybody has been loving. And if you've read any of these books, let's talk about those as well in the comments. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching.